Yo, this is my 2006 330i, and so today I'll be talking about my experience with it and whether or not you should use it as a drift car. That might be kind of weird to some of you, just because, you know, E90, it's got a lot of problems, right? Well, maybe. I'll tell you what I've had to deal with, and you can tell me whether or not it's worth it. I got some notes with me that I'll be referencing loosely, I guess. So, I guess what I'll start with is what everyone wants to know. How much did it cost? I bought this car for $5,000 off Facebook Marketplace, and it said that it had some things done to it, which I found out eventually that it had not. And so I've spent more money repairing it. It had 200-ish thousand miles, like plus or minus, I don't know, a few hundred, and it had an engine that had been swapped out and replaced with another 330i engine. I had to make sure because I wasn't trying to get a 328 or something. I need that extra couple horsepower plus like the intake manifold, 3-stage, something like that. And so the amount of money that I spent repairing it was a valve cover gasket, which was $92, a starter, which was $195, camshaft position sensor, $55, oil filter housing gasket, $27, serpentine belt kit, $91, vacuum pipe, $36, coolant, $22, radiator support, $175. That's because I like had a fender bender though, so these aren't really like maintenance things. That's mainly what I did for maintenance. And then I got a hood from the junkyard because it got bent. The cover that goes inside the wheel well, that was $80. Hood struts, $32, and the brace for catching the hood latch was $45. So half the items I just said right there were maintenance items / BMW type items, you know, and then the other half was just me damaging the car and having to fix it, which is like kind of on me. Oh, and when I bought it, the guy I bought it from, he wasn't as knowledgeable about it, and he also kind of like trolled me on a couple things, like telling me after I bought it, and I guess it's on me for not checking. But some things that I'm pretty sure he didn't know because he didn't advertise them, but were on it, were M3 control arms, the front kit. There was a rear anti-roll bar, as well as the car had been slightly lowered. I don't know exactly how it was lowered. I can't tell if they're chop springs or some sort of lowering kit, but it made the car look good and it handles pretty well. So until I put coils on it, I'm probably just gonna leave it like that. And what else? It had a bunch of like bushings replaced, and just like some general handling things. It also has a single mass flywheel, which makes some chatter when you're driving it around, but I found out that it's actually a good thing because if you clutch kick a dual mass flywheel a lot, you kind of risk exploding / grenading the transmission, which I found out online after I had already been clutch kicking it, but I guess it worked out because my car already has it. Next thing I'll go into, well, reliability. I basically already told you everything that was wrong with it. It had a bunch of leaks, as all BMWs do. Oil leaks, coolant leaks. I haven't gotten to the bottom of all the coolant leaks. There's one that's still dripping from the radiator. I've heard there's some O-ring that has some problems, so I might try to fix that. But it's not too bad, and it doesn't leak oil anymore, which is also nice. Other than that, I haven't had any reliability issues other than like that affect the driving. A lot of the electronics have issues, and by electronics I mean there's 3 ways to connect your phone to the car, that I have at least. One is Bluetooth, which just like straight up doesn't work. I don't know why, but maybe I'll try to fix that, but as of now I can't connect my phone to it. It just doesn't let you. Another is the aux cable, which works intermittently. It like cuts in and out as you're driving. I don't know what it is. Like when you bool harder, it's tends to cut out even more. I'm not really sure how that works. And the last thing is the guy who sold it to me has this little device that plugs into the cigarette lighter, and you turn the radio onto the same station that it says on here, and then the car picks it up, and that works the best out of all of them, except when you're in like the city or around areas that have a lot of radio interference. What I'm assuming is that if there's something playing at the same frequency on the station, for me it's 92.9, it just like starts having a crap ton of static and you can like barely hear it. And so there's no good way to like check, I don't know, to get your phone to connect, which kind of sucks because the speakers aren't even that bad. Like I can hear the bass, it works pretty well, but I don't know, no good way to connect it. I've been able to drive the car. The starter, the guy said that it had been replaced, but it had obviously not been replaced because when I would press the start-stop button, like sometimes it would just click and do nothing, and eventually it would take like 5 tries, and yeah, the car would just not start. It would struggle to crank, just have issues like that over and over again. So now that we've talked about the bad stuff, we can talk about the good stuff. And so the good stuff, there is some of it, surprisingly. The whole reason that I bought this car, actually, the handling. So when I first got this car, it was lowered, as I said, and it was on 225 front, 245 rear Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, which obviously are really nice. And so this car felt really light, and I thought it handled almost better than my Camaro SS 6th gen. I don't know if it was better, but it felt light and tossable. I missed the LSD for sure. The open diff is very noticeable in this car. It doesn't even have the E diff. And so, but other than that, the car handled really, very nimbly, and you could kind of throw it around however you wanted. And the lowering definitely helped with that. The sway bar added some oversteer, and I'm a big fan of that, so I'm really enjoying that. I kind of screwed it up a little bit by putting X3 tires on the back. I got a good deal off Facebook Marketplace, but they're like 245 55s, and so the sidewall is huge. And so I'm gonna get some used tires to get rid of that because I'm not trying to have those thick sidewall tires in the back. It kind of ruins the handling. Also, the steering, it's got hydraulic steering, which I really wanted out of an E90. My Camaro steering is pretty good, but this thing is still something else. Like, it will like yank the wheel different directions if you go over potholes and stuff like that, but you can obviously tell that there's a direct connection to the wheels. It self-steers really well when you're sliding it around. It feels really heavy at low speeds, but I guess that's to be expected. I kind of like it, and I know a lot of other people do too, because that's a plus of these. And the F series right after this had no steering feel, which I can attest to. Acceleration. So the fact that it's so quiet makes it feel not as fast as it is. If I had to like put it in line with something, it feels probably somewhat similar to like, I don't know, Ford Focus ST stock, but like minus all like the torque down low. It feels relatively quick. Like first and second gear, or like even up to third, I'd say feels pretty good and quick. Fourth, it definitely starts falling on its face, and anything over 100, it has trouble pulling. But I know a lot of drift cars and stuff like that have like not that much power, so I want to say this has 255, the 330s, which is not bad at all for a car like this. I want to say it's like 33 or 3,400 pounds, so no problem with the acceleration. And then the sound, I already touched on this, but yeah, it sounds like nothing. I'd say even my 2010 Lexus RX 350 sounds better than this. Like the intake is okay, and sitting inside it sounds alright, I guess, but over the phone other people can't hear me when I floor it, and it has like no exhaust tone, or sound, I mean. So I'm thinking about getting a muffler delete. I don't want it to drone, and I've heard mixed opinions online, but as of right now this car is very quiet, and I really don't like that, so I want to be able to hear the straight six even just a little bit. Now we can get into drifting type stuff, because that's why I actually bought this car. I know I wanted a mixture of like a daily-ish and drift car, so I didn't have to put so many miles on my Camaro, but it ended up me putting miles on the Camaro anyway, just because this car was always broken or something was wrong with it. and I guess I should have seen that one coming, but I wanted to get like the newest and like nicest looking car I guess I could get for $5K that could still be kind of used as a drift car, which I still will be doing. I just need to get everything all fixed up, which it's almost done, and get the tires good and drop the diff and weld it. I was gonna install an LSD, but that didn't end up happening because nobody wanted to work on it, and it was like $1,000, and that $1,000 was better used repairing the car after I returned the LSD. Because of the handling and all that stuff, I'd say it would be a pretty decent drift car. Like the amount of times I've slid it around normally, it's very eager to and easy to control. Like compared to the Camaro, it responds to your inputs really fast, and so a rear-wheel drive manual, decent weight distribution. It's a little heavy as far as drift cars go, but I'm used to sort of heavy cars, so it feels light to me. So if you do want to bite the bullet and get this as a drift car, I would say, well, first I would recommend against it. There's other things like a G35, if you can get your hands on a cheap 350, an SN95 Mustang, something like that would probably be better than this car, just because this thing requires work, like a bunch of work to get it drift ready, especially if you get a newer one, and it just like has so many leaks and issues and stuff like that. If you like the car, go for it, but if you don't, you're gonna have some problems. Well, you're gonna have them either way. So what I meant by the newer car is that if you have like, I believe it's the 2007 or 2008 or newer, they have the E-diff, and so if you weld the diff or get an LSD, you're gonna have to code that out, because the car will not like the wheels being forced to spin at similar speeds when it wants to do it for you. So you're gonna be wearing out your brakes and getting weird stuff, so you're gonna have to code that out. Another thing, the flywheel, I already talked about this, but you can't be clutch kicking the dual mass flywheel that comes stock in these. It's gonna blow up. Maybe it won't do it immediately, but I've seen a bunch of stuff online about people having to replace their transmissions because it's blown up from clutch kicking. So I would say just like don't even try it and replace it. This car came with it luckily, so I didn't have to deal with that. There's definitely chatter when you're idling and it's like sitting around, you can hear the clutch a bit, which I thought it was broken at first, but like honestly it's not that bad, and I know it's not going to blow up now, so it's too easy. That's pretty much all I had for what I have done with it. What I want to do with it is, like I said, I want to weld the diff. I probably won't put angle on it for now. I want to keep it like stock-ish as possible, and I think my money is going to go into fixing the reliability issues and the coolant leak. The water pump, I don't know if it's been replaced or not, but it hasn't died yet, and we'll see. I know Mishimoto makes a metal one, so I might try to do that. I might even replace the radiator, but all that stuff costs a lot of money, and so I've already put a bunch into it. I don't know what all of the stuff I said adds up to, but I'll throw it on the screen either now or back when I was talking about it. So yeah, if you guys know anything about E90 drifting or know somebody who does, leave a comment down below and let me know. I want to say these might become more popular in the future just because the normal drift cars are starting to get like more expensive in cost for ownership and for just like the drift tax. Like 350Zs, I remember when I was in like high school, they were pretty cheap. Like you get them for like 4K, and I wish you could do that now. It's like I should have just like invested in Bitcoin when I was like a 5-year-old or something, I don't know, or bought a house in 2008. I'm not sure. But since I didn't do that, I'm gonna have to deal with what I have, and what I have is an E90 because I didn't buy a G35 or an SN95. But at least the car looks cool, and expect more content from this car in the future. So yeah, this is gonna be a fun build. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of problems on the way, but stick around and you'll find out.